Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking this time. Actually, we were pretty apprehensive knowing that if we conduct something right after a long weekend, how will the participation be like? How many people will actually sign up and how many people that actually would turn up? And very appreciated for those that take the time and the trouble to attend this. I hope that in this short 1 hour or so, we'll be able to help you in better project yourself in your job search journey. I have with me my co-host, Eileen. Say hello, Eileen. Okay, Eileen will be looking at the Q&A box, right? So that we encourage you to ask as many questions as you can as we go through the slides. Because given that this is such a small, cozy group, I think we can spend more time discussing things that are more customized to your situation, so that more relevant to your situation, so that perhaps the panel of career coaches here will be able to help you and to perhaps give you some insights and suggestions, so that you will be much prepared and be able to land your next career in a shorter possible time. All right. So the reason that we decided to do this is because in our many meetings with our clients, we find that a lot of them, when they come to us and say, hey, coach, I sent out these resumes to millions of well, millions is exaggeration, of course, but I don't get any response. So why? So we go through either their resume, their job search strategy, or even their networking or interviewing techniques, and we discovered that there are a few common, shall we say, pitfalls that they commit knowingly or unknowingly, and as a result, it became a roadblock from getting through to the hiring manager. So it's like, so we are thinking, let's have a little short discussion on what are the common job search pitfalls that we find, among the people that come to us, and how can one avoid such pitfall so that they have a better response rate, be it when they send out their resume or during their interview. So this is what we wish to cover today. So for those of you who may not know us, just a little bit intro about us. We are from IBA Careers Connect, and basically what we do is, at the top, as you can see, we help improve job search skills. So that's why we have either one-to-one coaching session or a webinar like this, so that we could help you in your job search, right? We also help people that wants to know what's the market trend, what's going on around the labor market. And we also, if possible, for the last 2 years we couldn't do it, but hopefully we can have little network session where we can get you guys to meet with other finance professionals, where we can do some informational interviews where you could ask them questions about, what is their job entails, how do you enter this arena, and things like that. And of course, we will look at either any training programs or anything that could help job seekers such as yourself find employability. And of course, through our conversation, and many of times you'll be surprised, you don't realize that you do have certain competency and skills which you may not have put it on your resume. And it's only through conversation with someone who is totally objective, such as us, that we can uncover such things. So at the end of this session, we will put a QR code and also our email address, where if you want, you can contact us and we can arrange for an appointment to meet one of the career coaches here, including myself or Eileen, so that we could help you uncover all these things that we mentioned in this slide. All right. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this because basically we all know that COVID has changed everything, and there's certain things that you've been trying and it doesn't work and you're just wondering why. And as I said in the beginning of this session, the aim, the objective, we hope that what you can take back with you is you'll be able to learn, what are the different pitfalls that you may encounter at the different stages of your job search. So your job search will start with your preparation and followed by usually how to write your resume. And then if your resume is fantastic, attract attention, you're going to be asked for interview. And last but not least is the follow-up. So I'm going to quickly go through these slides so that we can have more time for question and answers. But as I said before, if you have any questions, the burning questions that right this moment in time, when I show the slide, maybe it's like, oh, yeah, this happened to me. I need to know what's going on, or I need to know how to avoid such pitfall. Feel free to ask the question, and we will pause and just to answer the question for you. So, take advantage of this cozy small group so that we can have a more interactive, so it not be like a one-way traffic, but two ways, so that perhaps we can also, for sure, we can learn something from your experience too. Right? So vice versa. All right. So we find that many of times when our job seeker come to us, they could come with something what we call not being focused. Like they don't really know what they want. So what happened was you find that they are using the same resume to apply for many different, or worst of all, unrelated positions. Right? So what we are trying to say that is they think that it's more productive if I send out lots of lots of job applications using one resume, right? If not, you'll find that they're applying for many, because maybe they like to work for this company. And the tendency is they apply a lot of jobs in one company, okay? And believe it or not, the HR circle, the talent development is very small in the finance. So if you're going to come across as someone that appears in almost everywhere, applying for almost any possible jobs, it's not a good sign, all right? Hiring manager will tend to think that you do not know what you want, or you are really desperate and you're just going to grab anything that sticks on the wall. So what we would advise you to do is be specific. Find out what is an ideal job for you. What is it that you like to do, right? I've always asked people to put down 3 lists. One list is things that you're doing now and you absolutely love it, and the second list will be things that you would like to do, right? Things you would like to do, but you're not doing now for whatever reasons. And the last but not least is a list whereby it's things that you absolutely do not want to do, right? You hate it, right? These are the jobs that you, so it could be based on your current job if you are working, or if you are not working, if you are looking for your first job, then of course you will need down to 2 lists, which is things that you like to do and things that you would not like to do. From this list, it will really help you to be, to be aligned with what is it that you like to do. And then when you go to the job portals or any or things, you'll be able to be more focused in your search so that you wouldn't end up like applying to many unrelated positions, because it could be really you do not know what you want, right? You do not really know what you want. I want to go to the finance industry. It's so big. I don't know what I want. So I just apply for everything, right? Or you could be, oh, I want to be a position, a compliant position. So whatever to do with compliance, I will apply, even if it's to the same company. So what we suggest is this: be specific, find out what is it that you really like, create a list of like 5 responsibility per list to find out what is your interest and what is your, so when you can compare it with what is out there, then it would really help you to tailor your resume so that you will not be like someone who is, trying to squeeze everything. So if you find out, how come my resume is so long, I cannot shorten it, it could be due to this, one of these reasons. You didn't have anything you would like to add?
Okay, the thing that I would add, right, in relation to the question about using that same resume, is before you even start your job search, to take a problem-solving approach. That means that if you know that you're sending out resumes and not getting interviews, then you know that there is something wrong at that stage. Similarly, if you're getting all the interviews you already need, then you know that your resume is not the issue. So no matter what anyone tells you about your resume at that point in time, if you know that your resume is accomplishing what it is supposed to do, which is to get interviews, then you're better off investing your time in the next stage of the job search. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. No, Clarence. Okay. Sorry, I will try to refrain from mentioning names. I will answer the question later. All right. There's a question in the Q&A. I will address it later. The slide refused to move. Okay, now it moves. Okay. So the other thing that we also notice sometimes is when we ask our job seeker, how are they looking for their roles? And they will say, oh, I'll go to job search, I'll go to Indeed, I'll go to My Careers Future, I'll go to this and go to that. And then we realize that they are focusing solely only on online posting, meaning only on job portals, right? Because they feel that, I can go to any job portals, all the job is out there. But if some of you would have realized, there's this thing called the hidden job market. That means 80% of the job is not posted there. So you may ask, so where are these other 80%, right? Well, there are different ways for you to look for a job. And one of the ways is called networking. Okay, we have subjects or topics on networking that we do conduct. At this point in time, I don't want to go too deep, but just one thing, networking may be the most effective, but it's also the most time consuming because you need to build up that relationship. So networking is not like you go for a party or a meeting and you ask people for a job. Now, that's not what networking is all about, right? Networking is about building relationship. And in the process of building the relationship, you most probably may come across roles that is not advertised on the online posting. So this is where the other 80% could be. It could also be with career centers like us, because some banks do approach us before they release the jobs to the public, because they want to know candidates that has gone through certain experience or certain profile that we may have. Right, so they may come to career centers such as ours or E2I or any of them to tell them this is what we're looking for. We haven't released the position. So do you have anybody that fits this role? And then, of course, if you are part of our data pool and we feel that you could, then of course we'll introduce you to them. So if they find someone through the career centers, they will not advertise publicly. So you don't see them in the job portals. All right. And recruiters, some people say, oh, recruiters are very cold. I write to them, they don't respond. True, but you must understand recruiters work in a different ball games. I mean, they have their own KPIs to meet. They also have their own, so shall we say, salary that they want to command. So, but recruiters do have certain routes that employers do not want to advertise out there. I mean, especially if they want to look for a senior position, they don't want to put it out there to let the competition know, oh, they are looking for somebody, something is wrong, right? So they will go through the recruiter's route. So for those of you who are in a more senior position, you may want to consider looking at recruitment agencies. I mean, because they do have their own channels or avenues with their clientele that look for unique positions that usually are not found on the job portals. Career fairs is also another place where you could look for jobs, and also a chance for you to talk to the hiring manager themselves, right? So career fair is also another place that you could do it. And the other one is what we call have an online presence. Of course, the most popular online presence now is LinkedIn, but we just realized that LinkedIn is not another place for you to post your resume. In fact, LinkedIn is a place where you can show other people things that you normally don't put on your resume, right? Your interests, your passion. You know, you can create a blog, you could comment on a post, you could share certain interesting articles, you may follow certain important people, follow certain groups. So it creates an online presence such that if recruiters were to look for a certain role, if they type a certain keywords, you will appear, right? So you appear on their first page, and then they may decide to take a look at your profile, and based on your resume and all those activities that you are doing, they may decide to grant you an interview. So having an online presence is also another way to do your job search. Anything you want to add? I think I almost covered almost everything. Last but not least, volunteer, right? Volunteer your services. Let get to know more people. You know, the more people you know, the more bigger your network will be. The chances are higher that you may find something that is not on the job portal. So job portals are good because 20% of the job is still there. I'm not saying forget about job portals. Yeah, job portals is still important, but there are another 80% that's out there, the hidden job market out there for you to start looking for a job. So don't just depend on one source, depend on many, many sources, right? And for those of you who wants to know, okay, which are the most effective? Number one, according to the recent survey done, networking is the number one. In fact, networking, if you ask any, if LinkedIn also did a survey, they find that most of the people got a job is because they know somebody in the company, right? So number one is still networking, followed by you target employers directly, not stalk. Please don't stalk them, you know, get to know them, understand them, build a relationship with them, and contact them directly, right? And the third one, you know, career fair, career centers, followed by, okay, this is career from classified means, you know, online portals and things like that, right? Or some people may get 10 jobs and it converts them to permanent jobs. Likewise, you can look for full-time career contract roles, and then from there, it may become a permanent role. So on and so forth, like volunteer, things like this. So these are 10 ways that you could use in order of effectiveness in terms of getting your next job, okay?
I do have a quick tip to add though. Okay, this is a small tip for everyone who is, if there is anyone in the audience who is jobless at the moment, but you are actively volunteering, you can put that volunteering as a job stint in the work experience section of your resume. So this is a quick tip. Thank you, Lionel.
Yeah, and it counts, don't worry. Even if you're not working for money, you're working because of your passion, it shows your passion, and that's something also that hiring managers look for. So yes, if you really want to do something, volunteer, because through a volunteer, you learn a lot of soft skills that you could put on your resume. Like, especially if you're a fresh grad and you do not know, hey, I don't have work experience, then, you know, volunteer in charity, volunteer for anything, and whatever you learn, okay, please don't put everything that occurs there. Okay, that's a different story. What we say is anything that's relevant to what you're going to do, right? That's where you would like to put. Okay, so the other part about preparation that we find that people make shortfall or pitfall is they don't research the company enough. Okay, they don't research. So that's why the resume becomes very generic, right? So in a way to answer someone's question that says, you know, when people ask me why you are in this career and why you want to switch, this is one way for you to do that. Research upon the company that you want to work for, okay? And then let them know what is it about that company that you want to work with them for. You can put that in your career summary session, right? Or if you can do a cover letter, you can also use that. Let them know, right, why you are interested in working for them. Okay, so there are many ways to find information about a company, not just the company's website. Okay, you can look, if they're a public company, look for their annual reports. Okay, look for any blogs that people write about or industry publication or any news, right? Find out because this thing will really help you in your resume writing, and even more, it helps you in your interview to know about, what are the insight, what are the trends this industry or companies or roles are playing. Understand if there's any new business processes or strategies, right? Last but not least, set a Google alert on the companies that you are following, right? So that you could get the latest news about them. Always stay current, right? In your job search, always stay current. As each day passes, try to keep yourself current, because it's always good if you do suddenly get an interview that you're already prepared, right? So you already know what is the thing that you would like to say to them. Later on, we'll show you a job search schedule that you could think of following, and that will make you always be prepared 24/7, because you never know when the opportunity will arise. When someone will call you and say, hey, can you come for an interview tomorrow? And you need to be always prepared, right? You cannot be like last minute burn the midnight oil to try to understand about the company. So while you are in the job search, strongly suggest you keep yourself up to date in the industry, at least, if not the groups of companies that you are following. Because even if you get an interview for another company that's similar, what you research about other company can also help you to let them know that you have a vested interest, that you have the passion for that type of industry. Anything else? I think more or less I covered about all the preparation common pitfalls that we come across. Anything special that you have? No.
I think the only tip that something to help everyone to remember is that in this game, right, you are number one, trying to avoid elimination at every stage of the job search journey. And number two, you're constantly, no matter what you do, whether it is in the preparation stage or resume stage, your objective is to stand out from the crowd. Yeah.
Bingo. Yes. So you will find that those mistakes that we mentioned previously don't make you stand out in the crowd. If you don't research enough, you don't stand out in the crowd. If you're only using job portals to look for a job, you don't stand out in the crowd. Oh, maybe the first one you do stand out in the crowd, but in the wrong way, as someone that's always applying for everything that's out there. So you do stand out, but not in a good way.
And Lionel, there are two questions. Do you want to answer them, or?
What are the questions?
Okay, the first one is from Clarence. Just went for an interview, still hiring manager asked me why I did a chem engine degree, but I did compliance to pivot to data. Okay, Clarence, it isn't entirely clear to us what we are supposed to answer. So if you can make it a bit clearer for us, it will help us a lot. And the second one, to share experience, this person has applied for an engineer role, was asked to consider a managerial role. Even though you fit perfectly well in the advertised role. You are 58 years old and you've got more than 25 years experience as a level 3 technical role. What are our views and comments?
That's a loaded question. I mean, the question that would be good if we were there is to find out why they felt that a manager position would be more suitable for you. Did they pick up certain things that you do not, you don't realize that you have, that they felt can contribute to their company better, right? So this really, unless we are there or we know more about your experience, I don't think we are in this position to even answer that. I'm sorry, but usually when interviewer or hiring manager recommends another role, it's because they found something about you that they felt that you could be of more value to them. Remember, it's to them, right? To help their company, right? So it's up to you, because I'm not going to say that, oh, a job is better than no job or that kind of thing. But because at the end of the day, if you feel that, why not give it a try to be a manager? But perhaps you have some managerial skills that you have exhibit, but you don't realize that you have done it, right? So you could always ask them for further explanation on why they felt or recommend you this role. I mean, don't take it as negative, because it could really be a positive thing. They do see something of value in you, and they felt that this value can be used in another department or another function in their company. So it's actually not really a bad thing. I mean, it's more of whether you would like to work in that role, because at the end it's still you. Because there's no point saying that, oh yeah, you do have the strength in doing this, but if you don't like to do it, then obviously you shouldn't even then take up the role, because you don't want to quit after 3 months. You have anything to add, Eileen?
I think from the limited description that we are seeing in this posting here, I perceive it to be them offering you a larger role. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I take it as a compliment, and
Yes.
but like what Lionel has already said, at the end of the day, it boils down to how much you want that job, or how much you want to be in that company. Because there is, if your objective is to land a job in that company, and if this is the only door that is open to you now to even get your foot in the door, then I might consider that, as an open door. Yeah.
I really would take it very, very positively. I mean, it's something that is, I don't say is something that is bad. I think it's something that is good, because they have uncovered certain things that you may not know about yourself, right? So which is why, in the second slide, we said, come to talk to us. Through our conversation, you will realize that you have certain strengths that you don't even realize that you have, or you have certain passion that you don't realize that you have. And you need someone who's from the outside looking in to let you know that, hey, I think you are very strong in doing this. Why don't you consider a role that can let you exhibit this trait much higher? Okay, now we move on to resume writing. All right, we've seen a lot of resume in our job, right? It's just it comes. And for sure, I think the only other occupation that see resume more than us would be the recruiter themselves. So which is why they come up with a machine, which is what we call the applicant tracking system, to scan those resume before those resume drop onto their table. So, any good company would receive hundreds of resume. And so if you were to go through the human, I think to fill a position would take like months or even years just to fill the position. So they come up with a machine, which basically is called the applicant tracking system. So long story short, it's a bot that scans your resume and to pick up certain keywords or certain parameters that's been set by the company, so that resume that don't fit into a certain profile will not see the light of day, meaning no human would see it, right? So number one, don't use headers, right? Because some people will say, my career coach or somebody tell me must shorten my resume, so I'll use the header so that I can put more things there. No, don't use headers, because unfortunately ATS cannot read things in the headers. So if you put your contacts or your name in the headers, ATS not going to read it, and if you don't get any contact numbers, you're not going to get to human, because there's no, they will feel that I can't find you, so what's the point? Okay, as much as some people will say, I'm not very good at pagination, I'm not very good in typing, so I want to use tables or columns so that my text looks very nicely. Well, unfortunately, most ATS cannot read tables. So whatever words you put in your table, they cannot, there's nothing, it's blank. So if you also put in columns, unfortunately, they also cannot read it. So, as much as what we say the boring looking resume is, well, it's the boring looking resume that the ATS is able to scan and read. Speaking of scan and read, don't use fancy fonts, right? Because there's only limited types of fonts that they could read. So if you want to use very creative, artistic kind of font, unfortunately ATS will not read it. So to them it's just a blank piece of paper. So you didn't, your wonderful paint-sticking created resume didn't land on any human eyes. Okay. For those of you who's in the data, perhaps, or project management, that kind of role, or even in marketing, you like to include your handiwork, graphs or pictures. I also see resume whereby they'll put down certain soft skill, and then they put nice graph to say how much of that soft skills they have. So the ATS cannot read. And anyway, even if they can read, who is grading you? If you say that I'm very creative, you put yourself 10, 9, or 8. Who decide that number? You. If you decide, it means nothing. I can always say that I'm perfect 10 for everything. So don't bother trying to use this kind of scale thing. Just let them know if you're good in this, tell them why you're good in this, and give some results, some quantifiable results to support why you say you're good in this. And that makes more sense than just a graph to show how much creativity you have, or how much leadership skills you have, how much teamwork, that kind of thing. Okay, it looks nice. And if you really, really want to, put a link on your resume so that they can go to your personal webpage or personal professional webpage to take a look at your creation. Other than that, just stick to the plain, boring resume. All right. And do use keywords found in your job descriptions, because that's what the parameters are set on. So if they, one of the ways that you could do is you could just copy the whole entire job description, you put it in word cloud, because word cloud is an online web thing where it will show you what are the common words. So based on that, you will know, okay, these are the key words they are looking for. Right? So if you find that some of the job description is very long, and for you to read to find out what are the common words that they use, use things like, even Word also, if I'm not wrong, Word also have a simple function called word, like a word cloud, to let you know which word appears a lot of times. So these were what we call keywords that you could use, so that the ATS, when they scan, they will know that you have all these keywords, and you, shall we say, qualify for the next round, which is the human eyes. All right. Anything? Can we move on, or you have somebody has a burning question that needs to be answered?
Okay, a note about some of the. This is not quite related to the ATS, but this is a note about. I want to answer it before we move on to that section. A note about the questions that have come in on the Q&A so far about, the reason why interviewers or hiring managers are doing the things they do. Many times, I think this is where a lot of us who have grown up in this analytical Singaporean education environment tend to do. We leave an interview and then we start to speculate why this was asked or why that was asked. To help everybody move on in their career journey, I'd like to encourage everyone to think through, number one, what is it, what is the main question what is the main question I want to answer? And the question I want to answer is, number one, did I get the job or not? And number two, if I did not get the job, at least I want to know why. Any other question beyond this is only going to cause you more stress in your job search journey. And many times when people are rejected during job interviews, right, we go home feeling very tormented because we don't know what we did wrong. Could we have done it better or not? And I want to use this chance to encourage everyone out there. Many times, right, if you know you've done your best, or even if you have not done your best, but the interview is over, just let it go. A lot of the times, you may not even be the reason. For all you know, they may already have identified someone more suitable for the role, at some other time. And the role itself may have disappeared during the hiring process. So a lot of times, the reason could have been not you, but you are doing yourselves a disfavor by tormenting yourself about not why you failed that interview after the fact is over. So remember, number one, did I get through? Number two, if I didn't get through, why did I not get through? And if there is no answer for you at the end, every one of us has to just make a decision to let it go and say, I'm okay to not have an answer. Yep. So encouragement for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. The other things, now that Eileen has mentioned, the other things that I always come across is people say, hey, I applied for this job, got rejected. I see it again, you know, or this job keep appearing and yet I already attended the interview, there's no news. Well, don't kill yourself for it, because there's a lot of reason why that job posting is still out there, right? It could be as simple as a HR guy forgot to take it down. It's there, right? Also, it could be, you know, the kiasu Singaporean type. I pay 3 months to post it up there. By golly, even if I find somebody, I still want it to be there for 3 months. So there's a lot of reason why it's there or why it's gone and come back again. So don't waste your time trying to figure out why. Because most of the time, I tell you, it's not because it's you. It's something else. It's not you. It's something else. So don't, that's what Eileen said, don't do yourself a disservice. Keep wanting to know why they didn't choose me? Why they advertise again? Why they didn't get back to me? Okay, so you know, just move on and search, continue your search, right? And you will realize that it's always good to have someone to walk with you in this journey, because job search is a very lonely, journey. So, you know, find some support, be it your spouse, your close friends, or your network, which is why we say you must do networking. Or if not, you know, you can always come to us. We are your career coach. We can help you. We can support you, right? Let's you know, we can, you know, find out more about you that you may not know, such that you can be in a better position to move on, to find something else. All right.
Before we move on, I think there is one more question about the ATS. Some keywords has already been inputted, and the same keywords are still appearing again. Will the ATS system capture those keywords, and what should we do? Okay, I'm not quite sure I got the question correctly. Are you saying that you have already entered those keywords and you are entering those keywords repeatedly into your CV? And are you asking this? If you can help us clarify this question, it will help us a lot.
Yeah, because if you're saying that, how many times must you repeat the keywords? Well, you know, it doesn't make sense if you keep repeating it when finally you reach a human. Remember, you cannot just think of getting past the ATS. You still need to get past the human. So even if you have enough keywords, if you're putting keywords randomly that don't make any sense, when the human being reads it, you again will be disqualified. All right. So if you tell me how many, I really don't know. It all depends on how you're going to build your resume, what kind of story, what kind of market, how are you trying to market yourself, how are you branding yourself? Then that's where the keywords will come in. I hope that sort of answer your question. Just remember, passing ATS is only the first. The next person that's going to read your resume is a human being. You need to pass the human being too. So, you know, some people say, oh, hide the keywords. You know, I heard people that even suggest use the keywords in white, right? White text. So cannot see, right? But it can be seen, okay? So HR people know about this. So don't try this kind of tricks. Just be honest. Integrity is very important, right? So don't just keep repeating the keywords hidden somewhere in your resume and then hope that, you know, it shows, wow, you have a lot of this keyword. No, it still must make sense. The keywords that you use, that you want to describe about yourself, still must make sense. Okay, if you can answer yes to any of these questions, chances are quite high that why you're not getting any response, because you're providing too many information onto your resume. This is related to the keywords. You say, oh, okay, I must put all these 10 keywords in there. I'm going to squeeze no matter how, right? So if you can answer yes, to any of these questions means you will probably need to adjust your resume a little bit, right? Could be a lot, but I would say most of the time it's a little bit, right? I think I should have no more. Okay, so if your resume have a lot of information that is not related, okay, one way to know is very simple. In the long days of old, resume is treated like a past. So you record everything that you have done in the past and hope that your past experience will somehow be useful, all right? And you throw the ball to the hiring manager to decide which past experience that I have you feel could be helpful to you. Well, those days are gone, all right? Nowadays, you must think of your resume as a future. So what you're writing, whatever you put on your resume is the future, all right? You are trying to let people know what you could do for them in the future, not in the past, right? So what you're doing is, yes, I did these things in the past, and these things I will be doing it also in the future. So that's one way for you to shorten your resume, because there are certain things, certain job roles that you're doing that you don't need to do in this new role. So you don't need to include them. Well, it's good that you know how to do it. You may decide to let them know during the interview, but at least during the resume stage, before you go to the interview, make sure that your resume is written in the future tense. That means you're trying to let the hiring manager know, based on your past, you are able to make a difference in the future with the hiring manager's company. Because that's all they are interested in. Because they're not interested in how you grew up, what are the courses you took in the past and things like that. Only if you can tell them, oh, these will be useful for you in the future, right? So try to think forward, don't think in the past. So, which is what we found out whenever we go through resumes of people with, let's say, more than 5 or 6 pages. We realized that a lot of things that stated, some of them could be repetitive because maybe you took the same role in several companies, so you repeat again what you did, right? So that's why it becomes very long. So always remember, if you can keep your resume short, simple, relevant, and recent. It's all about recent, relevant, right? And if you could do that, then I'm sure you should be able to do a 2-page, if not a 3-page resume. Okay, so I may have talked about this. So these are the things, as I said, they are more interested to look at, right? So you don't need to explain to them everything that you have done in that role. Rather, tell them about the projects that you are involved in. And please, of all these things, you must have a result, right? You must tell them what happened. If you're involved in certain projects, what happened to the project, right? Try to put down anything that's quantifiable, things like how much money you save, how much revenue you grow, how much productivity, do you increase any market share? So these are things that they are more interested to see on your resume, that excite them enough so that they will ask you in for interview. I mean, during the interview, they always double check to see whether you have done all those things that you wanted to put on your resume, right? There's always a way for them to ask you, so what is it that you do? Things like that when during the interview. Let that happen. Get yourself the interview first. So make sure that your resume is good enough to pass the ATS, easy on the eye for the hiring manager that's going to look at your resume. And then we can, as what Eileen said, move to the next stage of your job search, which is during the interview. Anything to add, Eileen?
This might sound very unrelated, but I want to remind everyone again, because I know that many of us who have grown up in this education system tend to think in terms of, if I do the right thing, I'm going to get the right result. But job search journey is not going to be like that. You may observe many cases of things that are what we call unfair. I did the ATS and so did Lionel, but Lionel got the job. Why didn't I get the job? And so on and so forth. And throughout your job search journey in this, in this new age and day that we live in, you are going to encounter many cases of what we perceive to be unfair in the future. So if we do, then my encouragement to everyone is to remember this. Whatever is unfair can work for you as well. If you are doing all the what seems to be the right things, but not doing networking and working the methods that will actually give you the greatest rewards, you may find that one day when you start using the methods that Lionel has shared, working the right methods and all that, you will be on the other side where people will look at you and think that it's unfair that you got the job and not them. So that's it.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, the long and short of it is we can understand the difficulties that you will go through, because once upon a time I also need to job search, right? So I empathize, and I was also retrenched before, so I empathize. I know what is it like, but I find that there is no point wallowing about it. Oh, life is unfair, this is not true, this is not right, blah blah blah, because that mentality in the job search is very important, because how the interviewer is going to see you is very, very important. How you write, it will come up too. So as what Evie said, I would strongly suggest, don't drive yourself silly or crazy or depressed just by asking, why am I not selected? Why am I that bad? Did I do anything wrong? Should I change this again? Should I redo all my resume again? Should I? Oh, stop, all right? Get a grip. Think yourself, because most of the time it's not your fault. Okay, most of the time it's got nothing to do with you. They didn't change the hiring policy because of you. Okay, so be positive, be resilient about it, and just keep plugging along. Because eventually something will open up for you. And as I said, there are many ways in your job search journey. Try all of them. Don't just sending out resume. It's just only one part of it. There's a lot of other ways that you could go about to try to land the next job. Okay, so these are the suggestions that you should put on your resume, which hiring manager looks for. Happy to read this rather than you telling them what you did. Because if your resume looks like the job description that they put up on the job post, they're not going to ask you to come in. Don't say, oh, because I match every word, right? Keyword, I match every word. That's not what we meant also, all right? So if your work experience look like a job description, with all the tasks, very task related. This is what I do. I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Okay, this is not, it's not what they're looking for. They're looking more for all these things that we listed out there. Okay, just as a giveaway, try your best not to use these words on your resume. Okay, these words are what we call cliche, motherhood statement, things that don't mean anything, even though it say proven results. Okay, because all these words doesn't tell the hiring manager anything about you. It doesn't add any value about yourself. So if you want to say that you are successful, tell them why you're successful. Tell them how you measure your success. What is the success that you are basing yourself on? If you want to tell them that you're result driven, just tell them, what do you mean by results? To you, what is the result? What is the KPI? What have you achieved? Tell them. Don't let them guess what does result driven financial analyst is. They don't know, because everybody measures differently. You tell them why you're this, why you're that, right? If you say you have excellent communication skills, tell them why you say you have excellent communication skills. Is it because you are good in negotiation? And what is if you are good in negotiation, what is the result? If you are good in influencing people, which is also part of communication skills, what did you influence? Did you increase how many people are following you to show that you are a good influencer, right? Responsible for means nothing, right? So responsible for this, so what? I'm responsible for a lot of things, but does it help the company, especially the future company? You must explain why you being responsible for, let's say, maintaining the database. Why is it important? Because how do you manage this? How were you responsible for it? That's what I'm trying to say. Don't just use biggie words to describe what they don't mean anything to the hiring manager, right? If you have certain duties, tell them at what function are you doing it. Are you the leader? If you are the leader, how big is your group? If you are a team member, how many team members are there? How do you get along with them? How do you help the team to progress even if you are not a leader? Things like this are things that the hiring manager wants to know. You know, not just things, especially in your career summary is where we usually find all these words to be there. It doesn't tell us, and it's just, lack of a better word, is just fluff. Because there's no numbers involved. There's nothing to measure you against anything. Everybody can say that I have success. But success in what? Compared to what? You know what I mean? So don't be shy about it, but also don't be so arrogant about it. Let the hiring manager know. Explain to them what you mean when you want to put these words down. Don't just say it and then just stop there and hope that they can guess, how have you driven success? How have you been responsible? Because they will just say, okay, next better player, please. All right? Anything to add? Or you have any pet favorite faces that you see that you like, no, please don't put that.
Okay, just one note to everyone: when you write your resume, the way to tell if you have been using too many of these phrases, right, is you can ask someone who is not in your field of work to read your resume. And if I have to, and if the reader has to stop at every sentence to understand what is the meaning of each keyword, then you know that you're kind of, your resume needs a bit of enhancement there. So I have seen resumes where, there are words like thought leadership, transformer, evangelist, and all these success-driven, results-driven, all words all crammed up together in one sentence. And I have to stop at everyone to figure out, to think through what it is really talking about. So make sure that your resume doesn't fall into that category. And thank you, Clarence. Passionate, yes, that's overused.
Yes, passionate is another one that doesn't, you must, if you're passionate, right, explain why are you passionate. What did you do to show your passion? You know what I mean? Because passionate means nothing. Okay.
Okay, to add on, just before we move on, I think Clarence has just given me an idea for a lot more is shown than written. So when we say we are passionate, right, there are data analyst roles are one of the hottest roles on the market, and almost everyone who is aspiring to be one is going to say they are passionate. So as an example, the really passionate ones who are out of the field, who want to get into data analyst, they would have made themselves seen or heard on GitHub and practice with data sets on Kaggle. So when we talk about things,
good idea.
Correct. When we talk about things that are setting you apart from the competition, this is what we're talking about. So a passionate person actually oozes passion out from every single thing you do. So it can be, data can be all over your LinkedIn profile. You could be doing volunteer work.
You're right. You can create your own web page to show, You know, some people are so passionate that they can take certain companies' numbers and then they do a very nice what you call it, nice graphs or things like that, you know, so that people can, you know, put a link on your resume, let them see your passion. Yeah. So when they click on the link, they go to, you know, your project file that you have created to let them see what you do, right? So if you have a hypothesis, if you want, you collect data sets from various companies, and then you want to show a story, by all means do that, but not on your resume. Show them a link, let them go and take a look, right? So these are other ways that you could make it more interesting. Like now that Eileen mentioned it, some people even, instead of doing the career summary by words, they do the career summary by actually putting a video link so that they're actually talking now to explain what they're all about. If you want, you could do that, right? In fact, they will remember you more than those words that you put. I am a 10 years a financial professional in what I've done A, B, C, D, E. I've success in this. Well, all well and good, but if you have a link that leads to a video and you explain to them who you are, why not, right? That is also one way that you could attract the attention, where you don't fall into what we call using such phrases in your resume. Yeah, Caesar. Yeah, accomplish is another one. What do you mean by accomplish? Let them explain what you mean by accomplish. Okay. I think these are the most top list among hiring managers on what they don't like to see on the resume. Okay. The other part, which is also related, is full of motherhood statement, full of cliches, right? So what we suggest is really to match, do a match, you know, analyze the job listing and only put down those things that they really want to see. Don't just throw whatever. And also be careful. Don't try to, how should I say it? Because they say the job description said they needed certain things, and just because you had a brief moment brush with it, you try to push it in to make them think that, yes, I have this experience. My suggestion is don't. Rather, why don't you concentrate on things that you really can get a handle on? Because it's very bad to get caught, right? If you go for an interview, they say, oh, you put down in your resume that you know about this. Then they ask you a technical question and you do not know how to answer. No, so don't get caught. Okay, I know sometimes you hear us saying, oh, try to match, try to put the keyword, but you must also understand how the comfort level that you are. You know, can you deliver it? Can you go for an interview? And if they give you an aptitude test or the application test, can you do it? If you can't do it, then don't put it down. All right. Okay. This is the last point is related to the other slide where you say you put accomplish. When you put accomplish, then try, strongly encourage to include what do you mean? What are your success? What are your achievement? What are your KPI? Things like this. Let them have numbers, because we are how should I say, programmed to look for numbers. So if you have numbers on your resume that speaks about your qualification, your experience, and your skills, that's where the eyes will zoom to, and that's how they'll remember you. Okay, I think quickly we have to move out to interview. So during interview, these are the 5 things that we say that I once quite wrong is actually too strong. Well, I wanted to take it back, but I decided to leave it there anyways. Okay, so we all know, never speak you about your previous roles. Even if really, really you hate it, you don't like your boss, you don't like everything that is in there, it's no good to be negative, right? Not only to the fact that because this negative may have set roots in your life and it may devour you as you take on new opportunities. So, and also if you are negative previously, your present boss going to wonder how soon you're going to be negative in your current role, right? The other thing that during the interview, I know some of you can be very excited, and if they suggest something, you will just say, oh yeah, I can do it, I'll do it, I will do anything. That's also not very good. So like for the example where they offer you something else, please ask a lot of questions before you say, I'll do it. Because if you immediately say, yes, I will do it, it may not speak too well, because it may look like you are desperate and or you have no idea what you want. You just grab anything that they offer you. Okay, and of course, during the interview, be professional. Don't talk about things that's not related to you. They're not interested in your favorite K-drama or your favorite whatever, unless it can lead back to contribute to the job. Okay, so I mean, if you want to talk about you like to go chill with nature, that's fine, but you must tell them how chilling with nature is going to help you to help them in your role. Okay, so everything has to be related. So whatever you want to say during the interview may be personal or maybe professional, but it has to be relevant to the role. As we said, speak in future terms. Let them know how you can help, how you can contribute. And if you really, really do not know, right, or you've never experienced, the best view is try to find something that is closely most related to it. And worst case scenario, if you really do not know, then give examples of you learning new things so that it shows them that you have a technique, you have a way to learn things that you never come across before. So if they do ask you certain technical questions or competence-based questions that you do not know, don't fake it till you make it, because there was a recent workshop that we did, and someone asked, should we fake it till we make it? The answer is no. All right? Don't fake it. Just be honest. Say you may not experience this, but give them examples. Like, when I first take up physics, I also do not know what it's all about. Or when I first take up this role as a customer service rep, I was very shy. I do not know how to talk to customer, but slowly I learned this. So give examples of what you have done that closely resemble what they want you to do if you have not done it before. Okay, and please, the last part of the interview, don't ask questions that can be found on their website. Okay, that's the most, it looks very, very silly on you, especially if you go to the homepage of their website, it just blasts right in your face. The answer is there. All right, so when it comes to asking questions to the interviewer, I don't have too much time. We don't have time to talk about it, and so which is why we encourage you to pick up a conversation with us, and we can help you to form meaningful questions that you should ask your interviewer. Because remember, your interviewer is seeing someone, see a series of interviewees, and if everyone asks the same question, they're going to go crazy. And they will for sure know there must be some website that's very popular right now that everybody's going there and choosing those questions to ask, which is not related to your situation. All right. Anything that we should? I think.
Well, no, I think we have some. Like, no, we need to probably look at how much more, how many more slides for interviewing you need.
One or two. That's it.
One or two. Okay, because there are some questions that I think they are pretty good questions. And
all right, let's address them then.
Oh, okay. So first thing from Andrew, you went for a technical interview and you believe that the follow-up email that was sent to you had a list of open positions, and it looks like an automated effort, and you're wondering whether you should drop this bank from consideration and not waste your time. So my very calculative response is, you know what, if what it entails from you takes just 5 minutes to go apply for the open positions, just do it.
Yes, I will say just do it. Right. I mean, maybe it's okay if you feel that it's an automatic reply, but you must realize that they actually took the trouble to find out what are the roles out there that they're looking for that you may consider. So I would say just check it out. If it doesn't take too much of your time, you're not going to redo the whole resume and it's related to the job that you applied for, I would say go for it.
Yep, and next question. During an interview, a common question asked is, why did you leave your previous company? And what is the answer if I was retrenched? The short answer to this is nowadays retrenchment is pretty common, and it's a very neutral answer to say you were retrenched.
Yeah, because usually I use the word usually, and it's usually you're retrenched not because you're no good. It's just that it's a business decision. There's nothing to do with you, right? So there's nothing to be, I won't say ashamed, but there's nothing that it should not be a problem answering it, because if you take this, we call it transition. If you take this transition in a positive light, actually you have a competitive advantage, because you're going through experience that shows that you are resilient. It shows that you can bounce back. It shows that you can take failures. I won't say failure as your failure, but like failure as in a bump in the road, like something came up that's no good, and you're able to recover. And these are things that hiring manager looks for. In this day and age, you don't expect the hiring manager to always come and sayang you and ask you, how are you? Are you feeling good? How's your mental state, right? Because they will expect you to be able to do it on your own. And if you are being retrenched, the first thing you will have to go through is a series of what we call stages that psychologists are going to go through. And as you recover from that, you become a stronger person. And this is the kind of people that companies are looking for. People that can self-motivate, people that can be resilient, people that can adapt, people that can have gone through unpleasant things and able to come on top. So use those as your advantage. Don't treat those as your disadvantage. In fact, treat it as your competitive advantage, because a guy who so-called success all the time will not be able to explain this. And if not that we want to wish bad things to happen to them, if something bad happens to them, they may not be able to recover. So, treat it as a positive. Don't just let them know. Yes, I've been retrenched, and during this period, I learned about this, and that. And I feel that these can help a company to grow, or I could, can mentor to younger people or people that have no experience in this kind of thing to be able to come up stronger and better. So I would think it's an advantage rather than a disadvantage.
And also, to add on to what Lionel has said, right? If you're worried, for example, in a situation where they had a team of 10 in a certain department and they only retrenched like half and the other half retained. And if you're worried that you're getting the question, why am I in the half that's being let go? I think a very simple answer to that, right, can be to say that my role was deemed to be not as critical as the 5 that were left behind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're safe to say that, or you can say that they're downsizing because the business has gone down, and so your function, maybe your client group is not the main one, but it's not your fault. So so you can always do that. It's nothing wrong that you are not on the so-called the stay part, or because you are there because you are it could be because you're so successful, they know that they cannot keep you because it's beyond their budget. So always think on the bright side, right?
And okay, I'm trying to see. Okay, there's some comment there. Hi, Lionel. It's not true. Employers are now focused on mental health for their employees.
Okay. Yes, I understand, but you know where I'm coming from, right? I'm being the exaggeration. Yes, if you do have mental health problem, yes, company nowadays are open to it. Yes, but you know what I'm trying to drive at, right? It's not, you don't really see them actually always on the dot, coming you to try to find out if anything is okay, right? It's more also of people, shall we say, people that have it, are okay now to be open about it, to come out. Nobody will put labels on them. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, there are quite a few more questions. So I'm going to answer one question that's not in the Q&A panel for the benefit, because I think some of you might be facing this, right? So the question is, if my previous job was a senior manager and I'm now willing to accept a slightly junior role in another company, but the company, whoever's interviewing me does not seem to be convinced. How do I convince him? I don't know. Yeah. So the question is, how do you convince the manager or whoever in such a situation? So another interview tip for everyone: remember to answer the question behind the question. So when the question is, why are you coming for this junior role? The real question behind that is, if you are willing to take on this role, does that mean that when you find a better role that is more suitable for your level of experience, will you leave? And so if you are if you're unable to answer that first question, why are you willing to take this junior role? Try to answer this question that's really the question behind. Would you leave when you find a better one that's more in line with what you have? And to answer that, one suggestion might be, there are many times when people take on lower roles. So for example, if you were a manager before, but now you want to take on a non-managerial role, the issue could be simply that I prefer to be hands-on. I prefer not to manage people, and I prefer to be really good at what I'm doing rather than managing people and moving up. So that tons of mutations on how you're going to, permutations on how you're going to answer this question.
Yeah, because if I'm glad that Eileen brought up, because nowadays you will find that companies may be pivoted towards managers and specialists, and you can always say that I want to be a specialist. I don't need to manage. I want to be good at my job. I'm a specialist. So most of the time, the other reason why they ask this question is also because they may want to take you in, but they may be afraid that they don't have the budget for you. So you must also somehow convey this concern to them, that at this point in time in your career, if they pay you a decent wage that you could cover and have some savings after that, what you were willing to take it for a long term. The key thing is, are you willing to accept this X amount for a long term? That's what they're actually trying to find out. And you would just need to, I would say, practice, perfect, and really mean it, so that you could be able to convince them for it. You may not convince the first one, the second one, but with practice and the way you deliver it, and please, you must really be true. Put it this way, I'm only assuming that it's true, that you're really willing to do this, you really commit this company, and then yeah, practice so that you can convince them. But if you are really just, I cannot blame you, because if financially you really need this job at this point in time, okay? But I would just encourage you, give some courtesy to give this role a chance to blossom, right? So don't, as we said, make their, because at the end it's still your reputation, right? So if you don't want to be known as we said in the beginning, the human resource talent acquisition team is pretty tight, and they will know. So if you were to do that to a company, chances are the person will tell, So yeah. So I think we got to move. So as I mentioned before, question to ask interview, this is just some examples. As you can see, I try to phrase it to relevant to you. So even if it's a common questions that ask what is the day in the life of this role, right? You need to phrase it in such a way that you understand that you already read the job description, you know what, but you just want a better understanding on what are the percentages spent in doing certain things. So you could do that. Then they will have to think, instead of giving you a standard answer, they would really need to think in the first 60 days, what is it that have planned for you, and what is it that you'll be concentrating your time on. So this is what we meant by try to frame the question as unique to your situation, that they need to think before they answer you. Okay. Okay, last part is what we call follow-up. Okay, the rule of thumb is if you have a chance to follow up, be it after an interview, be it after a networking session, always follow up. Whenever you have a chance to be in contact with the hiring team, always follow up. Okay, please respond within 24 hours. Okay, so what we do, recall what happened during the interview. Okay, so if you feel interview went very well, then in your thank you, don't just put thank you for the time I learned a lot. Tell them what is it that you learned. Remind them about your interest. Remind them of your qualification, right? So that when they're doing the sorting out who should I call for a second interview, they remember you. Okay, so if you feel that some of the questions didn't go too well, yes, we did mention get over it, but in the following up, you still have a chance. Shall we say another chance just to let them know that perhaps it's nerve, perhaps something happened. You may not have answered the question to your best. So just elaborate further, give yourself a chance to answer. And if you really want, some hiring managers feel that nowadays everything looks like a standard written, produced follow-up letter, then show your sincerity. Go back to the old-fashioned way. Write it. I mean, you can write it and then scan it and send it. You don't need to really write and put a stamp and send to them using the traditional mail. But be creative about for sure that your thank you follow-up will not go through ATS. So write a handwritten message to show that each follow-up that you do is personal. It's not something that's mass-produced like your I think your rejection letter when you receive. This is a computer-generated letter. So, show some personality on your side. Okay, I mean, this is just something that we come up with. It's not exhaustive. There's many other points. So these are the things that you could talk about during your interview to relate it with a story, as I said. So if you want to say you're able to work with others, right? Give examples of situation where you work with others. And most important, what happened, right? The project is smooth, you are the best team, things like that. So this is what. So is there any other question? Because I'm almost at the end.
How many slides more?
Just one, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, let's quickly do that slide and then we move on to some of the questions. Quite useful questions.
Then. So this is the last one beside the summary, right? Some of you will say, what should I do if I want to look for a job? So I can tell you, you may call yourself unemployed, but basically your destination now is a job seeker if you're looking for a job. Okay, so these are the things that we suggest that you do so that your day will feel more meaningful. And these will most probably cover all the pitfalls to avoid the pitfalls that we talk about during the earlier session. And we can still answer questions now. Lisa, you can put up the poll. We're going to put up a poll that takes very fast of your time to answer it. And we hope that you give us your honest feedback so that we can organize better program for all of you. So that we can make it as personalized as possible to your situation. Because there's no point going just sort of top way of doing things. We rather want to make it more personal, more customized to your situation, so that it will be useful to you. So basically, we hope that at the end of every session, you can take something back. You can take something that you can use. You can use it for, or something that is applicable to you. something that you feel that will help you in your situation right now.
So, and with, okay, so quick one. So for and we'd also like to ask everyone, right, to provide us anonymous feedback via the Q&A panel for areas for improvement. Yeah, because the poll does not allow us to gain any form of qualitative feedback. So we'd like to ask everyone to provide us with some areas for improvement so that we can make sure the next session is useful for everyone. And then, okay, so once Lionel is done with closing thoughts, we are ready to start answering all the remaining questions.
I'm done. So in case we cannot finish answering your questions, you can use this QR code, set an appointment to see any one of us, and we will be more than happy to walk this journey with you. So I am done speaking the official thing, so-called official. So fire away any question that you would like.
Okay, so one question that came from the chat: is it possible to include an ex-boss who left the company 5 years ago instead of the recent boss? Yes, it is perfectly okay. Yeah. So for those of you who are having problems with the current boss,
okay. Yeah, because all hiring manager know where you are coming from, right? So let's not kid ourselves. Certain times you may not work well with certain people, so it is okay for you to use someone in your past to be a referee.
Yeah. And the next question, okay, this is something that for those of you who feel or perceive that the communication stops after you reveal your age, right? We're not going to deny that there is always ageism in the workforce. At some point or other, we're going to find that some companies are going to reject candidates for roles just purely on the age basis. So again, this is something that we cannot change. And this is something and we want to encourage everyone to overcome this and direct your energies to something more positive. And the reason is this: we find that in our experience, people who are on the, people who have been rejected for roles. So sometimes they believe, sometimes, I mean, we're not saying all, there are some people who are genuinely rejected for roles just based on their age alone. But at the same time, there are also other people who have been rejected for roles. It wasn't based on their age, but their perception that it was based on their age. So now what we are trying to share with you is a way for you to overcome this. So number one, those of you who are of a certain age, but you feel like you have a lot of energy to give. Now, that kind of energy, that kind of youth or vibrance can be expressed in the way you do your resume, in the way you update your LinkedIn profile, and even in the way you talk. Look around the people and you can see what I'm talking about. So that's one thing. The second thing is that if all the companies that you're interviewing for are rejecting you due to your age, and even that is something that we can't always verify, our suggestion is go look for some companies that are known at least for hiring people of a certain age band and above. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah. And the third suggestion is that instead of focusing on that, you'll find that we are focusing a lot on mental health and not letting this toxicity or negative emotions throw to you, because the more you allow yourself to buy into this perception that I was rejected for my age, the more it is going to come out of your words, your emotions, and your aura during the next interview. Yeah. So our suggestion is recognize that there is unfairness in the workplace, but recognize that sometimes it will work unfairly for you. And if a company rejects me because of my age, never mind, I'm going to shake the dust off and I'm just going to look for the next company that will value me for my age and my experience.
Yeah. And that's why I agree totally. It's something that, I mean, we try, but put it this way, if a company is going to treat you like that, I don't think it's a company that you want to work for anyways, right? I mean, if the company is going to base everything on ageism and reject you, would you want to work for this kind of company? So maybe they decide to do some what we call national service, accept a few more mature people just to make up the numbers. But do you really want to work for that kind of company, right? So that's what I like the expression. Just shake the dust off your coat and say, thank you very much, thank you for the experience. Look for something else. I know it's tough because there are many people that came to us but they eventually do find something. So don't give up. I'm not promising everybody out there now that if you can't see us, you will definitely get. Okay, please don't put words in my mouth. But it does happen, and it, don't know when, but it will happen. So be positive about it. And as we said, maybe try the other methods of your job search. Maybe, be it through networking, through volunteering, through coming to career center, going to career fair, so that like career fair where the hiring manager gets to see you personally. So it's easier to know, to see your worth. People are visual creatures. So if they look at the words that you write, maybe you're not very good in writing, but you're very good in expressing if you see the person. So that hiring manager can see you as who you are, and as we said, maybe it's not ageism. It's because maybe the way you write did not come across as someone that's suitable for the role. But if we were to ask you to speak, you can articulate it. So that's why I try other methods of in your job search, not just applying through resume writing. Any other questions that
Yeah, the next question is an interesting question. Okay, after looking at your job history, the interviewer asked, how long do you think you will stay in the current role? How to respond to such question? So
I'm
before
surprised
we
that such questions are.
No, okay, so remember the golden rule, right? The behind principle, which is that every time they ask you a question, there is always a question behind a question.
Yeah,
And
there's an
on the
intention
same,
behind.
yeah, correct. And with the same token, when whatever you answer, there is always an answer behind your answer. So number one, always be authentic. So if I'm going to say, look, I think this role is beneath me, I see myself staying for 1 year while I look for the next role. You obviously need to find some way to say that, and then to remember whatever your answer says something else about you. So when you are being authentic, always remember the true answer that is behind your answer is going to come out. So before you even have such a question, think through your answers. So to answer this, right, I would say, for me, because I'm someone who likes adventure, I like change. So I would say that, well, as long as the job, allows me to grow, and to continually try new projects, I think I'll be happy to stay here for the next, I think 5 years. So that's being, to me, that's being authentic. But notice that my answer also gave me a chance to showcase my personality. Okay, Lionel, over to you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if they ask you such questions, there's always well, I would say in the first place, if they do ask you this question, there is some liking. They like you already, because if I don't like you, I will not ask this kind of question, because what for? I mean, I might just reject you outright. Why should I ask you these questions? So I would say that when you get this question, there's a degree of likeness. Maybe, hey, you're not a bad person, but I really like you, and I think you will be great working with us. But given that you're so qualified, there's always this worry that if something good come along, and then you will go. So I'll just ask you this question point blank, just to see what your reaction is. So that could be their intention. So if they really like you, and then honesty should be the answer. I mean, if you apply for this role, just let them know that as long as there's room for you to contribute, could be also this way, or as long as I feel that I'm contributing, I will stay. And that is a signal that the company should try to promote you or give you more things to do, or so that they can make use of your qualification and experience. So that's one way for you to also answer that kind of question. You say, yeah, I will stay, and if you have a good backup, meaning previously you do stay in each company for a long time, obviously then that helps you lah. But if previously you also stay for 1 year, that kind of thing, which is nothing wrong, then you have to come up with a different kind of answer, so that at the end of the day, you must be promoting this is your profile, this is who you are. Don't send mixed messages such that they do not know who you are, because if they get mixed messages, they cannot find out or come up with what you represent, or then they will just say, forget it, let's not hire this person. So make sure that all your answers are in line to who you say you are.
So, okay, we're conscious of time. So I just want to quickly go through the questions to make sure that we answer everyone. So one question about expected salary, if the previous and the current, the previous and the role you're interviewing for are basically the same roles, but the budgets offered for the roles are different, then the question, your answer to that question is really a reflection of your expected salary, which means that are you prepared to do that job for this amount of money?
Back to the same question as previously. Basically, they always want to know, are you willing to work for this X amount of money at holding this role? Basically that's, and I'm not saying that you should accept something lower immediately, or you should, everything is a calculated thing from you. You need to decide yourself, how much are you comfortable with? Comfortable meaning you can meet all your financial obligation and still have something to spend on stuff, let's say, right? So as long as you are comfortable with the salary, that's just give that expected salary.
Yes, okay. Let me see. There are just two very quick questions here. So we are being bumped out of the room soon. So the first question is, do we expect, will companies send us for a course for new hires less than 3 months? Well, it depends on how much of how special and how desirable you are to the hiring company. In our experience in a tight job market, right, employers are more willing to hire people who can hit the ground running than someone who does not have a clear fit for that role and that they need to train. So this is a general answer. There are exceptions to the rules. So that's question one. And question two, is it advisable to join expensive data science boot camps for a career switch? No, our blanket answer is no, please do not do that. And remember, always work backwards. If the jobs that you're looking for all require that particular skill or certification, then by all means do it. And secondly, if they don't and what they're looking for is experience, then no, going for a boot camp is not going to add to your experience. Yeah.
Right. So if on the same note before we close is, if by law you need to have it, then no choice lah, you have to take it. If it's a legal thing, if you don't have it, you cannot practice, then of course you have to go. Other than that, that's what Eileen says, see what the market demands. If the market say you don't need this, taking it, it may or may not, but most of the time, if the market is not in demand for such skills, why do you want to go take it?
Yep. And then one final ending note. Yes, we have to admit that our employment laws against discrimination are not as advanced or progressive as those in the US and Europe. It is just something that we all have to accept for the time being. So thank you for that comment, and we acknowledge it. And over to you, Lionel.
Yeah, I think we are going to be kicked out soon. So I think we're already running a bit out. So any of you who have some burning question that you want to ask, but need some privacy, the QR code is there. Make an appointment to see us, and we'll be more than willing to help you. All right. With that, thank you again for the poll. Thank you for coming. We hope to see you perhaps sometime down the road, face to face, or if not, through another webinar then.